Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. We are going to be doing a 6-inch lift on my 2021 Ford F150. Oh no! I was going to try to break this up into several videos, but I think for what this is, it's certainly worthy of just one longer video of this entire process. Now, before we get to the unboxing of all of this stuff here, I want to take a chance to thank the sponsor of this video, realtruck.com. Now, realtruck.com, they have everything you could possibly need, from tonneau covers to side steps to lighting, all kinds of things for your truck. And I will link them in the description down below. Please go check them out for anything that you might need for your truck today. And also, I want to thank you guys, because without you guys, none of this exists for me on this platform, and I am very grateful for that. This is a lot of parts and pieces, but honestly, I'm not as overwhelmed as I thought I was going to be. I'm certainly as sweaty as I thought I was going to be. Monsters. My God, these things are huge. These things are ridiculous. This is insanity. I'm really excited to get these things on the truck and see how they perform, because they are monstrous. I do need to put this up on 35s. Let's get the truck over to the shop, get these 35s on here. It just clears. I recorded the beginning of this video about a week ago. This is a complicated process for me. This garage, it's not very big. This clears simply by maybe, I don't know, an inch. And this is what I have to work with in the rear. Not a whole lot of clearance there. The instructions for this kit say that you should be able to do this whole thing in like 8 hours. I don't want to say it's the first time I've read instructions, but I'm not known for reading instructions. It's certainly the first time that I've gone through and studied instructions, and I feel pretty confident with it. They seem like they're pretty well written, and we'll go through it and just see how hard this really is. 2021 F150 6-inch King lift kit. Let's get to it. Well, that wasn't too bad. Stopped at the point where I'm going to start taking the drive shaft off, getting into the cross members. That was what I wanted to enter into with a fresh perspective in the morning. Removing the catalytic converter shield, all of that took quite a bit of time as well. So once I actually got into the suspension part of the project, wasn't too bad. This is kind of where it gets tricky now, is the day 2 aspect of what it is I'm doing here. So also very proud about how good of a job that I did keeping my work area clean. I am not known for that. You'll also appreciate, as I close the garage door here, just how little of space I actually have. Just clears. Day 2, and left everything the way it was. Now, I slept on this and I thought about it. I really needed to go and pick up some new jack stands. Today is crawl into the truck day, and I do not love how much purchase this jack stand has on the frame rail here. We are going to solve that with some 12-ton jack stands. I left the jacks underneath there for kind of like an insurance policy. However, that's the wrong way to approach safety. If the main safety mechanism even has a remote shred of uncertainty, you really should readdress it, and that's what I did today. I would much rather not have a 6,000-pound truck come down on me as I'm getting underneath there doing these modifications. So I just bought way overkill jack stands, mainly because they will have a wider saddle to really get up underneath the frame 100%. And now these 6 tons can take the place of these 3 tons, which will go in the trash. It's a pretty cheap insurance policy for the most important thing, which is your life, crawling up underneath these things. And today we need to start doing some cutting, modifying the frame, and I want to make sure that we're doing it as safe as possible. I'm going to put up my sunscreen because it's going to get sunny on the front of the garage here rather quickly, and I want to make sure that I'm covered from just the heat exhaustion in general. So let's get to it. All right, so we made it to the point of no return, that is. I've got everything out. Dropping the diff was a bit of a pain, and now we are on to the rear cross member cutting. I got it figured out. Wasn't really that big of a deal, as long as you have a jack, which luckily I have plenty of jacks in this garage. I am going to clean up my tools, keep with the trend that I'm doing very well in this project, which is kind of cleaning up between steps so that when it comes time to find tools for the next step, I'm not, you know, where the f did I put that wrench? Get back to it. Started this Friday in terms of getting the old suspension off and getting the skid plates and everything else, the aftermarket stuff I had on the truck, off. Then yesterday I spent getting the differential, everything out, cross members, the cutting, and today I'm actually at what I'm calling the assembly phase. Took it relatively easy. It's been pretty hot. This garage is well into the 100-degree mark. With that, we're going to get back into it. First things first, I need to get into this differential and split that case and do the 180 inversion on that. And then we're into all of the assembly phase of all this. Let's get back to it. Had a pretty good day yesterday, and what I did do yesterday was finished up, which I did not record, and I just wanted to see if I could get these things in. And here we have the first King shock in, just installed, kind of dangling here for now. The fun one is over on this side, because today we need to figure out the PowerBoost cables here, and this is going to be a mess. I don't know how I'm going to feed that reservoir up through here. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
No, you won't.
This is a complete and total bummer. As I'm doing this, I'm looking at it going, there is, even if I get that up through here, the fitting for the top of the shock mount, the reservoir coming up through the top, it feeds up through the center of the shock tower and then routes up front. The middle of the hose is 2 1/4 and then heads to the front. So if we bring this up to, we're up into that bracket for the high voltage wiring. There is no way that I will be able to get this. It's legitimately impossible. These wire looms are so tightly wrapped and wound and just attached to everything here that there's really not a lot of room for play. I'm not really all that interested in getting to the point where I've modified the wiring on here where Ford would maybe void a warranty for the hybrid system. That would be a very bad idea. Very bad idea. I'm to the point of no return now. Everything is modified with the frame. I can't go backwards to my OEM shocks. I also, at this point, started questioning, like, why did I get to this point? How did I get to this point? And I looked on Real Truck's website, which Real Truck has been great to work with. I've reached out to them about this whole issue, but it does not mention that it doesn't fit the PowerBoost or the hybrid, which is really how I got to this point. But now when I go on and check Superlift's website, they do say that it will not fit. So I will be reaching out to Real Truck after we get to figure out, I don't know what the solution is here, but the only other 6-inch shock that I see, Fox has a 6-inch lifted shock where the hose for the shock reservoir comes out this side and drops out through the shock tower, so it would not actually have to go up through there. If I have to, I don't know, maybe I order those Fox shocks and modify this lift kit with a different shock that will fit the PowerBoost. I don't know. Well, a couple days have passed here, and the solution is in the box here. Unfortunately, there was a miscommunication here in terms of fitment on this kit. This is just one of those things where you just chalk it up to kind of, it happens, you know. Unfortunately, this is going to be a temporary solution. I am going to have to now use the Bilstein 6112s. Unfortunately, now I need to compress that spring and move that circlip all the way back down to the bottom, which will basically be no lift off of these 6112s because, well, there's a 6-inch block here. This is what the solution was. These are going to have to be deployed in the front here, and what will happen is that 6112 will just come down and then mount right up here. So while that is going to work up front using the Bilstein 6112 that I have, I'm going to have to use the King shock in the rear because it's got a 6-inch lift on it, and these Bilstein 5160s, I believe, in the rear only work up to a 4-inch lift. So those aren't going to work. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to have King in the rear, Bilstein in the front, and I'm just not going to be able to leave it that way at this point. Real Truck, I have notified them so they can update the website so that somebody else doesn't get themselves in this bind. And I will be, at some point here, ordering up probably those Fox shocks, but not sure how that's going to go yet. I'm just kind of waiting on that. So with that, everything else is ready to go. In the meantime, I did have one thing that I modified here. The front diff here, this was actually hitting on this bracket. I did not trim this bracket back far enough. I was being timid on bracket cutting, so I did notice that, so I just kind of notched around where the front diff is there so that it was not touching. That's all good now. Everything else is back down, torqued tight. So now I can just get back to completing this project and get her back up and running here, and then figure out the shock situation later. Oh no! Oh!
Several long days later.
This whole project got rather derailed. Really just got to the point where I was like, I just need to get the right ones and go with the Fox. That is the solution I'm going to run with. The overall process of doing this really has not been difficult, aside from just the shocks not fitting and then the frustrations that came with that. Prior to that point, there was not a single moment where I threw a tool, shouted obscenities. Very atypical for me in these types of processes. So hopefully we get through this now with the Fox shocks and just get this thing back up and on the road. Well, we finally did it. It was not easy, but we got here. My camera actually died on me when I was finishing up the rears here, but it is so much easier. What you saw there was pretty much the end of it. Just basically installing that spacer, putting the shocks on, throwing the tires back on. It's super easy to do. The 6-inch lift on the 2021 Ford PowerBoost is finally complete. Now, the first thing I want to address is, should you do a project like this yourself? 8 hours, I think, is a bit ambitious. If you had a lift and 2 people, I think you could accomplish this in 8 hours. For the average person who's pretty good at wrenching, I think this is more of really a weekend type project. Cutting on the frame, all of that, I was actually pretty hesitant to get into doing that. So much so that I almost didn't do it. But getting into this, I gotta say, I really thought that the steel that I was gonna be cutting was gonna be a lot more substantial. First of all, the cross member that's pulled out from the front here feels rather flimsy in and of itself, and you're only cutting out the rear cross member. So there is a front cross member where you're adding a piece to, which, by the way, is a pretty bulky piece of steel. This has been an absolute awesome process. I'm really happy that I did it. It really challenged my ability to wrench in general, and I am looking forward to bringing you guys some new videos here about what this lift kit, how it changed the dynamics of the truck. So this video was long enough. I will do an MPG video with where can I and can I not fit now. I was happy to be able to get this out of the garage without any sort of massive issues. These are 35-inch tires. They're actually 34.8-inch, I believe, tires. And the 6-inch lift, and I was able to get out of the garage with 2 inches to spare. I'm going to take this and probably do a video about where I am and am not able to fit. I'm actually interested to know, can I still park in the parking ramp here at the Phoenix airport? We will find that out. I, of course, will do a proper off-road testing video out here as I normally do. This is a pretty frequent trail that I come out to, so we will go through that as well. I have also towed with it recently and got to experience what it's like there. I will say, with these more off-road focused shocks, naturally you do get a bit more of a squat out of the rear end. I was expecting that, and it does squat just a little bit. With that, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I'll see you guys next time.